Hello and welcome, and thank you for joining me. As you can tell from the title of this video, this is somewhat different video from my regular Salesforce videos. But since everybody's talking about Chat GPT, I wanted to share some use cases that you, as someone who is in the Salesforce industry, can use in your daily lives to make your life easier, save time, and be more productive. So let's jump right into it. I'm here on my chat.openai.com. If you don't have access to this, you can easily create an account by using your Gmail and get an account for free so you can play around with this yourself. And you can use it pretty much for everything. Literally, the limit is the questions that we can ask it. So my first use case is going to be how you can use Chat GPT to write some basic simple code to get you a starting point. So I'm going to ask it, please create Apex code to create task records on opportunity creation. The task should be linked to count and opportunity. So you have to be really specific with the question that you're asking. And I'm also going to say Apex trigger just to be safe. And I'm just going to enter that here. And let's see what it comes with. And it is typing in real time. Certainly here's an Apex trigger that can create a new task. And I love that it's also commenting things out for you. And that's the create task and opportunity create trigger. Now, obviously, if you know best practices, you don't want to be putting all the code in trigger, but at least it gives you like a really good baseline. And if you never coded before, this can give you a quick starting point. So like, even if you're a seasoned programmer, you can literally copy this and make your adjustments. Obviously, the real use case will be more granular, more nuanced, and there will be more logics involved. But it's good to know that you can actually do that. And I'm surprised that it actually picked up account ID and what ID. Like, I didn't tell the system anything about what ID. I didn't tell about description, but it actually thought of it itself that you want to follow up an opportunity, and then it creates the task. And if you know triggers at all, you can actually look at the code and say, okay, first is creating the new list of tasks that we want to insert. Then it's taking the opportunity. Trigger.new is the variable, so it's creating a before insert trigger, which is, I don't know if you want to do it before insert in this case, because you are maybe after insert may work better. Since everybody's now talking about how this Chat GPT can take over all the programmer's job, I don't think that's the case. You still need a seasoned programmer to actually read the code and make sure it's correct, do the quality assurance in it, and make tweaks as needed. I'm not just going to copy this code and paste it in my environment and expect it to just work. You want to test it out, you want to write the test classes. Let me actually see if it can write the test class as well. Write a test Apex test class for the above trigger code. Let's see. Now it's actually explaining it to me. You need to create a new Apex test class, methods with @isTest annotation. These methods will contain code that exercise the trigger and verify that it is working as expected. So it's actually taking all that and creating a test class for me. So @isTest, private class, static void test trigger, inserting the count first because you need the count to create an opportunity. It's actually smart to do that. You can obviously add other required fields on your opportunity. It's actually adding all the required fields by standard. And you can add your custom fields as needed. Test start test, insert opportunity. Then it's also querying for the task, and it's actually following the best practices using assert equals to make sure that the trigger is working correctly. It did not do negative testing, which is fine. But again, like this saves you so much time to just copy this and work on it as a baseline. So that's awesome. And it's also like giving you explanation of what it is doing. To test the trigger, you can simply run test button. Also outlining all the steps here. So I am just amazed at how awesome this is working. I haven't used it for very complex use cases, and I haven't used this in production or any environment at all. But what I want to do at some point is take this trigger and paste it in my org. In fact, let's do that right now. So this is my trigger, and it says before insert, and I'm going to do opportunity. Okay, and then I'm going to just copy this portion of the code, type that here. So it's actually before insert. I'm just going to run it as it is without making any changes and see what happens. Saving this code, and Then I want to deploy it. Hopefully it's deploying to the right org. Okay, there is some error. So let's see what the error is. Field is not writable. Account ID. So, which is fine. So I'm just gonna, and that was my instruction. I actually mentioned it to use account ID and opportunity linkage, which I forgot that I actually don't have account ID on task. So that's fine. I'm just gonna save this and try to redeploy. And let's see. Okay, that is successfully deployed. Now going back to, or going to the opportunity and actually testing it out. Thing again. Save it. All right, so that is my opportunity. Is the task created? I don't see a task being created, and the reason could be that it's using a before insert. I'm going to change this to after insert and deploy it again. I'm going to say post date page. All right, so now I have a task created. So it was smart enough to create a trigger for me. It really didn't know the difference between before and after insert, which is fine. So as a programmer, you would know that already. I also see that it didn't put a subject in, which is also fine. You can just simply add task.subject and activity date and any other field that you have in your org. So again, definitely needs a programmer or anybody who can code to actually do this. But the point is, you can still use this as a starting point and save a lot of time. It's also not following all the best practices. You want to have a separate class, and then you can call the trigger from that class. If I ask it again, can you please separate the trigger to Apex class and a trigger to call the Apex. I'm not sure what this is going to do, as I'm doing this for the first time. Okay, so it did create an Apex class. Looping through opportunities, like, okay, so it is creating the Apex class, and then I'm gonna ask for the trigger. I'm hoping that it creates the trigger afterwards. Okay, so that's my Apex class, and now it's creating the trigger. So you need to know what the questions to ask for it to actually do anything. And again, it used the before insert. That's fine. You can make a small tweak there. Awesome. So we created a trigger class, also a test class. So you can really see how beneficial it can be to use, or at least try out and play around with this. Okay, moving on to next use case. I also want to create an LWC, and I haven't done a lot of LWC yet, but I want to create a particular LWC. So my LWC is going to be that I want to have an account searching feature with a data table. So as I'm searching for the account, I want to see the information present in the data table. So create a Lightning web component that searches on account name and displays the information in Lightning data table. Please also include the template, HTML, and XML file with the JS file. So I want kind of the whole package. Let's see. All right, so here's an example for accounts-based search on name and displays the result in Lightning data table. So that's my HTML template, which has an input. So you can read this code, right? Enter search term, and it has unchanged, which is basically as I'm changing the thing, it will display the results because we are using unchanged, and that unchanged function handles search change should be in the JavaScript here. And it also brought up Apex controller.search accounts, which I have to ask it to actually give me the Apex class as well, because it's using an Apex class. So the way the Lightning component will work is the front end is the web component, but it's still using Apex to actually search for the accounts, which will be a SQL query. and it's also creating the XML file. So as long as you provided the right input, it will be able to do certain things for you. And at least you can copy paste this and start to code from there. So that's the XML. And I will also ask it, please also provide the Apex class used above and its test class. All right, so account controller, which is good because we are using, so in Lightning Web Component, if you're not familiar, you have to bring in the Apex class by using certain import at Salesforce, and that's using that search accounts method, which is over here. Search accounts, string search query, and it's searching for that term and returning. I mean, if I were to code it, I probably would do it differently, but, and it also has aura enable, which is essential for the LWC to call the aura. And there's the columns name. It's also guessed that I need name, type, industry, phone, handle change event, all of these things. So it's also catching the error and refreshing the data. Okay, pretty awesome. I'm very impressed with how it created this code pretty quickly. Now it's on me to actually take this, paste it in my environment, and make changes as I see fit. Maybe there will be some errors. I really don't know without running this code. But that's a challenge for another time. But definitely try it out on your own, and I will share this code if you want to try this out and see if it works for you or not. All right, moving on. Next feature or next use case you can use it for. Next use case I want to talk about is, let's say you are preparing for an exam or certification, or maybe just a presentation, an interview, and you just want a quick way to summarize information that you already know, but sometimes you just need that quick refresher. Like, I've been working on Salesforce for a while now, but I still forget all the different integration patterns or auth flows. I just want to be able to quickly grasp all the knowledge. So I'm going to use this link. I'm literally going to copy paste the Salesforce link and ask it, please summarize the integration patterns with examples. And I'm just going to paste that article and hit enter. Now it's going to type some summary for me. And it's actually typing. So I can read as it's going on. So, okay, we have real-time integration. That means the data is transferred as real time. Example is sales order system that sends an order to fulfillment as soon as the order is placed so that the fulfillment can begin immediately. That's a great example of real-time integration. Batch integration. If you want to do batch integrations from CRM to a data warehouse on a daily basis. Event-based integration, point-to-point, hub and spoke, hub sub-integration. That would take me a lot of time to actually go through this article to read it all. Now, I'm not saying that you should stop reading articles and just paste your code, paste the article here and summarize it for you, because there's a lot of nuanced information that you will gain once you read this whole article. But if you read it once, and if you need like a quick summary of everything, you can easily do that using this. Next, move on to something else. I have not tried this. So please give me some interview questions for Salesforce developer. Interview questions and answers. So this can be used for as a recruiter if you're a Salesforce recruiter, and if you want to just filter out Salesforce candidates and you just need a quick way to do that. Or maybe you are preparing for an interview yourself and you just want a quick refresher on everything. You can just come here and say that, and let me see what it comes back with. Sample interview questions for Salesforce developer position. How is Apex? How is it different from programming languages? Answer. And obviously, you don't have to memorize all of this. It's just an example. But you can see, you can pretty much ask a lot of information, and it usually comes back with a great result. You can also regenerate response. If you did not like something, or maybe you want to ask more, so you can say, tell me more, and it's going to keep generating answers for you. What is the trigger? What is the difference between custom? I don't know if I would ask that for a Salesforce developer. It's like a pretty basic. What's Lightning platform? Some of these questions are very generic. I mean, I don't see those questions being asked in any interviews, but some of them are really good. Like, how do you create and use a trigger in Apex? Maybe I would be more specific and ask it, how do you give me more questions about trigger itself? Then we can get into details about the trigger framework and how to use, what are the best practices, how to avoid looping and things like that. What are the best practices for loops? So this is not very satisfying because it's like very generic, but I can always ask, tell me more, and dig into the specific questions, and hopefully that will generate more response. Okay, talk about is a very general use case that you can use in any part of your life. So let's say summarizing emails. So if you have an email and you want to reply to that email, but you don't really know what to say and sound professional, you can actually put that here and it will summarize the email for you. Or maybe you have a meeting notes, you have a meeting recorded and you have all the text output of the meeting. Instead of going through the entire text, you can just type the text here and it can bring you back with the bullet point summary list of that meeting. But please keep in mind, don't share any private or sensitive information that may get you in trouble. I don't know where this data is stored or how it is being stored, so definitely be careful about that. General use cases, things that are already available online, are fine because that's like easily accessible information, but you want to be cautious about putting anything personal or any client related information here. I don't have a meeting notes or anything, so I'm just going to try to ask it something random. Please tell me how to reply to a client professionally that the project deliverable cannot be completed in time because of, I don't know, let's just see what it comes back with. I don't know if I would use this, but let's just see. I hope this email finds you well. I wanted to inform you that unfortunately we will not be able to complete the project deliverable by the agreed upon deadline due to project and scope creep. As you may recall, we initially agreed on a budget and scope line that would allow us to deliver the agreed upon. However, as the project has progressed, we have encountered additional requirements and changes to the scope. We understand that this may cause you inconvenience for you, as we apologize. I mean, it is very robotic sounding. Let's say regenerate response. Thank you for your continued support and partnership. As we have been progressing through the project, we have encountered a few challenges that have caused delays in our timeline. One of the main challenges, I like this one better than the last one for sure, because the last one definitely sounded way more robotic. To that end, we propose the following options. So it's also proposing new options, which is great. So you may not have the same options, but at least you can format things in this way. So option 1, option 2, revisit the scope, extend the deadline, prioritize the most critical components, things that we already know, but definitely gives you a framework to work with. For today, I hope you found this video helpful and it sparks some interest or curiosity for you as it did for me. Please let me know what are your thoughts and what do you think about this? What are the use cases you can think of?